Hello, good morning, everyone. Ma'am and sir, good morning. So, this morning I'm going to discuss about religion and identity. I am Darius Basanyas Lucero, your discussant for this report. So, for the objectives for this morning, we are going to define religion and explain how religious identities are shaped and formed. And lastly, explain the role of religious identity in intercultural communication. Now, for the introduction, some aspects of our identity are linked to our personal interests and preferences, while others are influenced by our geographic location and the messages we receive from those around us. And for example, the political campaigns that promote a particular national and ethnic or regional identity. And all of these dimensions reveal who we are and can influence how we represent ourselves and interact in different contexts and situations. So let's take a look at religious identities that can impact our intercultural interactions and can influence the quality of the relationships that we may develop. So let's start with what is religion? Religion is from the Latin word religio, originally meant obligation or bond. So it was probably derived from the verb religare, which is tie backed or tie tight. So it developed this special sense that bond between human beings and the gods. And from the 5th century, it came to be used for monastic life. And religious practices emerged from this. But the world's standard modern meaning did not develop until as recently as 16th century. That's according to Dictionary of World Origins. And according to Smith and others, religions then are the systems of meaning embodied in a pattern of life, a community of faith, and a worldview that articulate a view of the sacred and of what ultimately matters. Religion, according to Emily Durkheim, is a unified system of beliefs and practices relative to sacred things, that is to say, things set apart and forbidden, beliefs and practices which unite into one single moral community called a church of all those who adhere to them. And for the contemporary life, the facts about the various religions around the world, according to the Pew Research Center in 2015, 7.3 billion total population, Christians were the largest religious group in the world, making up nearly a third or 31% of Earth's 7.3 billion people. And also 24.1% were Muslims, while 16% were not religious, and 15.1% were Hindu, and 6.9 of 7.3 billion are Buddhist, and 5.7% adhere to folk religious religion, and 0.8% adhere to other religions, while 0.2% were Jews. Religious identity. Now, religious identity basically refers to one's sense of belonging to a particular religious group. Similar to other aspects of identity, religious identity may mean different things to individuals. And the importance of one's religious affiliation may also change over the time with exposure to other beliefs and practices. In some cultural settings, one's religious affiliation is considered a private affair and there is a clear separation of religion and government. In other contexts, religion permeates all dimensions of life. And here is a video clip that explains the reasons of separation of church to the government. And in this context, we are using USA, but somewhat true to some of the countries, like the Philippines.
You're in a conversation about church and politics, and someone says, the separation of church and state means churches shouldn't talk about political issues. What would you say? Now, we all agree that there shouldn't be a government religion. Those have been common throughout history, and America stands for the idea that government shouldn't force you to believe anything or punish you because of what you do believe. So in a sense, we do want church and state to be separate. But does that mean the Constitution prohibits religious organizations or even religious people from talking about what's happening in government and culture? No. And here are 3 reasons why. First, the separation of church and state isn't in the Constitution. The phrase separation of church and state is used so commonly that many people think it's actually part of the Constitution. It's not. It's not in the Constitution, it's not in the Declaration of Independence, and it's not even in local or state laws. The phrase originated in a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to a group of Baptists from Danbury, Connecticut. Now, they were a minority religion, and they were concerned about government powers being used against them. President Jefferson wrote to them saying, "Believing with you that religion is a matter which lies solely between man and his God, that he owes account to none other for his faith or his worship, the First Amendment has built a wall of separation between church and state." See, the phrase separation of church and state is a paraphrase of the First Amendment. And to the extent there is a separation of church and state, its purpose is the exact opposite of what we often hear. Which leads to the second point. The Constitution protects the church from the state, not the state from the church. When people talk about the separation of church and state, they often mean that it's important to protect the government from the influence of religious institutions and religious people. But that's exactly backwards from the concerns of our founders. As President Jefferson's letter makes clear, they weren't concerned about religious people influencing elections. They wanted to make sure the government couldn't interfere with the way people lived and practiced their faith. That was and is the real risk. Government influencing how people practice their faith is a problem. Religious people influencing the democratic process is freedom. Which leads to our third point. In public debates, all ideas are welcome, even religious ones. Now, we're all different, and that's okay. It doesn't matter if you were inspired by Jesus, Oprah, Freud, or the Wizard of Oz. Your freedom to engage in the political process is the same as everyone else's. Now, that doesn't mean all ideas are equally helpful, only that every person, group, or organization is equally welcome in the arena. The idea that religious people are especially dangerous is not in the Constitution. It's in the minds of people who do not fear God, but do fear what could happen if people of faith were actively engaged in their community. The Constitution was not written to make some people afraid to talk about cultural issues or engage in public life. It was written to make sure no one was. So, the next time you hear someone say that the separation of church and state protects government from religious people and religious ideas, remember these 3 things. First, the separation of church and state isn't in the Constitution. It's a paraphrase of the First Amendment in a letter written by Thomas Jefferson. Second, the Constitution protects the church from the state, not the state from the church. And third, in public debates, all ideas and all people are welcome, even religious ones. For What Would You Say? I'm Joseph Backholm. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you like it, hit the little thumbs up button below. Also, you can join the conversation in the comments section. And to make sure you're notified every time we release a video, hit subscribe and then hit the bell too so you get the notice. And if you want to help keep these videos free to the whole world, chip in below.
Religious identity formation is concerned with the process by which individuals decide what their relationship to the religion will be. In many contexts, messages from the family and religious figures begin at a very early age and are reinforced through various rituals such as prayers, weekly sermons that have messages about moral behaviors, and ceremonies such as baptism and confirmation for Christians. The bar mitzvah for mark a Jew's coming of age. Furthermore, in religious identity, the use of a particular language or dialect may also be linked to one's religion. For example, in Arabic, in Islam as the Holy Book, and the Quran as was written in this language also. However, the membership in a religious group can offer believers a sense of community and provide inner fulfillment. Whilst the purpose of religious identity, it can be a great source of strength and provide a purpose or direction for one's life. But in some situations, it can be also observed as a barrier to intercultural communication. For example, people may refuse to socialize or interact with atheists or followers of a different faith. All religions have a language associated with them. Learning that language plays a part in the practice of that religion, though God is believed to be omniscient, and it is the language used for performing most rituals and religious practices that play a significant part in the life of many. So when individuals are in positions of power, have little respect for the religious views and ideals of members of another religious group, including atheists or non-believers, the disputes and even wars may result. So let's watch a sample video of this context. Every human person has its right to be religious, but they don't need to force someone else to change its beliefs.
Oh, what? You don't appreciate my gift to you?
So it was you that redecorated my office.
Pretty funny, huh?
Not really. It's actually kind of offensive.
Come on, it was a joke. And besides, if you're gonna make your opinion public, so am I.
Well, by mocking somebody's beliefs?
You don't think I get mocked for not believing? Everywhere I go, I see religious messages. I'm just trying to even the score. How's it going?
Fine, mostly. As long as I keep to myself.
What does that mean?
Question. Are you religious?
I know you are. I grew up Baptist, but not for me. Seems like a waste to spend your day off sitting in church.
Well, maybe you should try it sometime. Being grounded spiritually just helps me be a better person in every aspect of my life.
Hey, Shane. David, I need to talk to you.
Okay.
Give me 5 minutes.
Sure. So what's up?
You, apparently. A lot of talk going on.
Oh, great.
David, I'm not calling you out for anything here, okay? I want you to be comfortable. Do you know the laws concerning religion in the workplace?
Well, apparently any religion in the workplace isn't allowed.
No, that's not where I'm going with this. I've had some complaints about what's been done to you and a few complaints about how religious you are. It's not fair the way you've been treated. Nobody should feel threatened here. I'm going to hold a mandatory meeting to discuss it, but before I do, I want you to understand the policies that are in place so you don't feel ambushed.
Well, let's consider it.
We should all be considerate and informed. I want you to know we're here to protect your rights first. So here's what you can and can't do.
Okay?
It's perfectly fine to be religious in the workplace. It's not okay to preach your beliefs to others, to suggest or imply that if they believe as you do, that they'll be rewarded at work, or that they'd be held back if they disagree.
Got it.
It's about how you make people feel. Like if you were to suggest that someone go to church because you think that would make them better at their job.
Okay, but I wouldn't do that.
You just did. That conversation you had with Shane could be interpreted as you suggesting he get religion to make him more productive at work, thereby earning a raise. And you've been here longer than he has. You're his supervisor.
No, I didn't think of it like that. I just believe
It's okay.
strongly that...
It was innocent enough. Just be more careful next time.
Okay, well, what about anti-religious beliefs? Don't the same rules apply to them?
Yes. Making someone feel uncomfortable because they are religious, mocking them in front of others, degrading them for any reason, is definitely unacceptable.
Okay. That makes me feel better.
Good. And you're not the only one I'm having a private meeting with. David, go ahead and put your Bible back on your desk. That's your personal space.
Thank you.
So, here we are. Do you think we can have lunch together in a civil way?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So I guess you talked to Lisa.
Yeah, and I'm guessing she talked to you too. So, I promise to behave. Cross my heart. Ooh, is that offensive?
No. In fact, I don't find anything about what you believe to be offensive.
That's not how you felt yesterday.
Okay, what you did was offensive. But you believing what you do, I'm fine with that.
You don't know what I believe.
Well, I know you don't believe in God. And I know that you do believe in individual rights.
Very astute.
Thank you. And I'm sorry if living my religion is kind of in your face.
Apology accepted. So long as you're okay if I lobby for separation of church and state.
Of course.
Really?
Well, it doesn't take a genius to realize the failures of a church-run state or a state-run church.
I can't believe I am agreeing with the devout Christian. You must be breaking a commandment or something.
You want to check?
No thanks. I have my own rules to live by.
I think there's one more thing that we can agree on.
Oh yeah?
Your right to believe whatever you want, and my right to live out my life as a person of faith.
Yeah. You want a cookie?
So in the video, we have the right to refuse, and we have to respect one's views, religion. So here, the conclusion, religious identity is linked to our personal interests and preferences and is influenced by our geographic location and the messages we receive from those around us. For example, the political campaigns that promote a particular traditions and also religious reveal who we are and can influence how we represent ourselves and interact in different contexts and situations. Finally, religious identities can impact on our intercultural interactions and influence the quality of the relationships that developed. Thank you for listening and good morning once again.